What is up, guys? Rick Cacus here, and this is Fan-Made Exotics, the only series that lets you submit your exotic weapon, armor, ghost shell, artifact, or heck any Destiny exotic idea and have a chance for a realistic concept art to be made for it. Now that's because I've partnered with the artist Benjamin Radaman, who makes these amazingly realistic exotic concepts. His DeviantArt will be linked in the description down below. Now yes, this video is a day late. This series usually comes out every other Saturday, but obviously with all of the dawning information that came out yesterday, this video did take a slight back seat. I did tweet about it, so if you want to get caught up to date with all of the latest channel activity, follow me on Twitter at Rick Cacus. At Rick Cacus. Twitter. Follow me. But in any event, we're going to continue on with this video because on the docket for today, we're going to showcase 5 featured exotics. All came from the comments section of the last video. And then we're going to talk about the proper way to submit your idea. People still get this wrong, and some tips for getting selected. But first, some things that are important to explain. Firstly, obviously, if you want to see more of this content, please remember to support this series by liking and especially sharing this video. It really helps myself and Benjamin out. But also, very importantly, if you're planning on submitting an exotic idea, make sure you're submitting it on the newest video. If there's a newer video than this one, an annotation will appear right now leading you to it. Alright, now let's get started with the first exotic concept. The Strange Matter exotic auto rifle concept by DropThe Poptart. Now this weapon has a few unique perks, the first one being an intrinsic perk, Neutronium. Precision kills grant bonus ammo the next reload. So base level, pretty decent. Every time you get a kill, you reload your magazine and you get a slightly bigger magazine the next time. Now of course there will have to be some limitations to this perk because if you're fighting, thralls and acolytes and getting tons of kills, you're basically going to go infinite in your magazine size pretty quickly. So perhaps having a maximum increase of 50% to your magazine would be appropriate, but either way, pretty decent idea. Moving on, we have the exotic perk, Strange Matter. After each kill, this weapon has extremely little recoil for a short time. So that's pretty cool, and I like how the two perks kind of play off themselves. So, when you get a kill with this weapon, you're going to have basically no recoil for a little bit. You can spray down an enemy that is at a range that you wouldn't normally be able to kill that enemy. There are some downsides to this, like having no recoil basically for a short time seems like a huge benefit, but only proccing after a kill means that you're likely going to be wounded for that engagement. Like if you're extremely low health, do you really want to be engaging another enemy? Yes, you get no recoil, but you're extremely injured and you're still likely to use that fight if that guy shoots you like once, And also the two perks kind of play off each other. You want to get a kill as quickly as possible so you can make the most of the reduction of recoil, but you also want to reload so that you can get that magazine bonus. It kind of plays off themselves. You don't want to reload because that wastes time, but you want to reload so you get the bonus. It's kind of an interesting dichotomy. Which one will you choose? And for that reason, I think it's a pretty cool concept. I can see this being used in PvP, but I feel like it's most centered around PvE because that's where you're going to be able to get a kill and then get another kill and another kill and another kill all with the same magazine, really making the most of these bonuses and then just reload and get a magazine bonus as well from that point forward. Now moving on, we have the Boots of Helios exotic warlock leg concept by ThaOne Alex. Now this armor has 2 unique perks, the first one being a passive perk, God of the Sun. Grants Angel of Light, which is a perk for the Sunsinger, making it so that when you're in the air and you aim down sights, it hovers you for a short time, and it increases that perk's time. It also has the exotic perk, Gift of Helios. Kills while in the air grant bonus super energy. kills while in the air, while Radiance is active increases the time within Radiance. So obviously it's kind of supposed to be utilized with the Sunsinger. That's when it gets the most benefits. But you don't need to do it that way. I actually really like just the perk increases the super energy you gain when you get kills in the air. That actually just seems super fun to use in PvE. Like, there's the airborne perk for heroic strikes in PvE. How sweet would it be to have a heroic strike week with airborne? You throw these puppies on, you're jumping around in the air, getting a bunch of kills, and getting, more super energy. And if it's actually a decent bonus, you actually can, increase your super energy by a decent noticeable amount. This is actually pretty good. In fact, this in combination with the bad juju, that's what we call in the industry a wombo combo. So I actually really do like this idea. I think it would be, like, I would actually see myself using these, putting these on, just for the sake of fun, and actually probably being quite useful depending on the heroic strike bonuses. So, decent idea, would love to see something like this in Destiny. Moving on, we have the Infinite Recurrence exotic auto rifle concept by bilbo212. This auto rifle has a few unique perks. Firstly, it has the intrinsic perk Stubborn Pathing. This weapon is not affected by outside reload speed upgrades. This is a really interesting perk because it's purely negative. This is just a perk that exists to balance this weapon, which is really good. I love to see that when we're talking about, designing weapons in Destiny. You need to make sure your ideas are balanced. And this perk just makes it so that armor and subclass bonuses don't affect the reload speed of this weapon. Now that's because when we move on to the other perks, the first one being the first exotic perk, Solution. Missed shots decrease reload time. So there you go. Every time you miss a shot with this weapon, it's going to decrease the reload time. So if you're shooting at an enemy that just runs by or blinks or whatever and you miss a bunch, you'll be able to reload extremely fast. Now that in combination with a bunch of other reload increasing perks would be likely insane. So that's why that first perk kind of tones it down. That's combined with the second exotic perk, Recurrence. Rapid consecutive hits increase rate of fire and stability. This, I think, is a fantastic idea, and here's why. When we're talking about this weapon in PvP, that's the place where you're going to be most concerned about a rate of fire increase, right? Like, a massive increase to rate of fire is just going to make it so that this gun is blatantly overpowered. But with the way this perk works, rapid consecutive hits increase rate of fire and stability, you could just make it so that, you're already engaging an enemy. You could boost up that stability a little bit to make it so that in PvP you get a little bit of a bonus. Yes, this does have a favorable time to kill. Yes, this would be competitive, but it wouldn't be insane. The real ramp up in rate of fire, because you don't take that many shots to kill a Guardian in PvP, but rather you're taking a bunch of shots, you're really ramping up rate of fire in PvE. If you're shooting a boss, if you're shooting, an Axis Minotaur, something like that, that's where, you're really going to be able to ramp up that rate of fire and get massive increases to your DPS, to your damage output. So it's a great idea because it lends itself to PvE play. You're going to be able to get a massive bonus in PvE while still also being good in PvP. You're going to get a more marginal bonus because, again, you're not shooting a Guardian 100 times or anything, but that marginal bonus is still a bonus, and we're talking about like the cutthroat nature of PvP where every single, millisecond in DPS matters. That's a real bonus. Like, that would be potentially quite good, and especially the increase to stability would help as well. So good in both PvE and PvP, in my opinion. Similar to the spinning up perk, but hopefully more effective. Next, we have the Demidia exotic auto rifle concept, really going ham with the auto rifles this episode, by Bandit Nation. Now this weapon only does have one exotic perk, but it combos with the first perk, which is Glass Half Full, which of course, very well known perk, makes it so that the second half of your magazine does a little bit bonus damage. Now the exotic perk for this weapon is Glass Half Empty. Now what this does is it makes it so that the top half of the magazine has reduced range but is much more stable. So that is very interesting. You know, the first half of the magazine gets the bonus of extra stability at the cost of a little bit of range, and then when you get down to the second half of the magazine, you're going to switch over into increasing your damage, but going back to a less stable version of this gun. I really like the idea of having like two different bonuses for the different sections of the magazine. We have glass half full, that perk has been around forever, but we don't have really anything at all affecting the top half of the magazine of a weapon. So that's pretty interesting. I like how you change the character of this gun depending on where you are in the magazine. And you know, it'll be interesting to see if a weapon like this comes out. It's just going to be good for player choice, I feel like, because some people, when they're using glass half full, they'll actually just shoot off some of the first rounds of the magazine just because, and they'll get to that damage bonus right away. And then you would have other people that reload like every time they're done with the first half of the magazine, like they're reloading after every kill, so they can keep getting that stability bonus. Like different people will be doing different things with this weapon. So I think it's definitely a neat concept. Don't know where this is going to be most favored. Doesn't seem like a massive, you know, incredible PvE ability for sure. But in PvP, if the stability increase is great enough, if the rest of the perks are good enough, this could definitely see some play. And moving on, the last exotic concept we're going over today is the Marksman's Choice, exotic sniper rifle concept by King Kapooya. This weapon has two very interesting, unique perks. The first one being an intrinsic perk, every shot counts. This weapon fires a single shot before needing to reload. That's again one of those balancing perks. That's a huge downside to this weapon, so we'll see if the other perk makes up for that. And the other perk is the exotic perk Top Choice. Rounds fired from this weapon, depending on where they hit the enemy, have a different negative effect on that enemy. Now what I mean is this: if you hit an enemy in the head and they don't die, so if you're shooting, you know, a Hallowed Knight in PvE, or if you're shooting an enemy using a very armor increasing super in PvP, they're going to get a slight blinding effect. And if you hit them in the arm, it's going to throw off their accuracy for a little bit, so they're going to have a harder time shooting their weapon back at you. If you hit them in the leg, it's going to slow them for a little bit. If you hit them in the torso, it's going to stagger them greatly. Now this is only going to last for around 3 to 5 seconds, so it's not a big downside. You're not going to shoot an enemy in the leg and they're going to be slowed for like 20 seconds or anything ridiculous like that. But it's a very interesting idea because obviously, like in PvP especially, you're going for headshots. You want to just kill the enemy. You don't want to mess around by making them limp or anything. You want to kill them. But sometimes, no matter how good you are, every once in a while, you're going to miss. Now, other snipers, when you miss that headshot but still hit somewhere on the body, are just going to do some damage and that's it. But this one, and the reason why it's exotic, is that it also causes another negative effect. Like, it's actually so useful if you're going to accidentally shoot someone in the leg. It's so much better to, instead of just doing damage, to also make them slower. If you're going to miss your headshot and hit someone in the arm, it's so much better to damage them and reduce their accuracy than just damage them. So in that sense, this weapon is going to be better than pretty much any other sniper rifle when it comes to hitting those body shots, which again, everyone is going to do every once in a while. But this gun makes up for it when you do. When you make a mistake, it gives you a bonus which you otherwise wouldn't have. And that is pretty damn interesting. In PvE, all that really matters is that if you can get that blinding effect a decent amount of time, if you can like blind bosses by shooting them in the head, that is really good, and that's definitely worth looking into. But regardless, it's a very unique idea. Now, that's gonna wrap up the 5 featured exotics for this episode. Now let's talk about how to properly submit your exotic idea. All you need to do is simply reply to the official comment I'm going to leave in the comment section down below. So I'm gonna make a comment saying reply with your idea to this comment, and that is the only place we're gonna look for submissions. If you make a comment in the normal comment section, or you send it to me on Twitter, or you email it to me, none of those will be counted, only the ones replying to the official comments. Now, the first comment is going to fill up with the 500 reply limit pretty quickly, and I will be there to put a thread number 2 in as fast as possible. Again, hit me up on Twitter if you can't find thread number 2, and I will be there to insert it. Now, some tips for getting selected. Firstly, try to self-regulate your ideas. Make sure that they're balanced. You know, getting a kill and instantly getting a big overshield is probably too much for PvP. Furthermore, try to make sure that your idea is realistic for Destiny. Getting a kill and turning into a dragon just isn't going to happen in the game. And thirdly, make sure that your idea isn't overly complicated. If you're writing several paragraphs to try to explain your perks, and every single perk is unique and it would take me 10 minutes just to explain what your weapon did, that is probably not going to be chosen. But fourthly, don't be afraid to break the traditional damage archetypes and weapon types. Don't be afraid to make SMGs, laser rifles, stuff that we've never seen before. Don't think that you have to stick to the existing gun types. Now, that's going to be it for this week's Exotic Concepts. I hope you guys enjoyed. If you did, again, please remember to help this series by rating and especially sharing. If you guys want to see more fan-made exotic episodes or just Destiny content from me in general, the best way is to slap that subscribe button. If you guys want to keep up to date with the latest channel activity and tell me when thread number 1 is full, the best way is to follow me on Twitter at RickKakis. That's linked in the description down below, as is my Twitch channel, which you can also follow. Again, I hope you enjoyed the video, and as always, have a good day.